Huh?
You disconnected the sound from that
The sound from which one?
from the speaker. Remember when it went off?
You talking about?
That beat.
Oh
That
yeah.
yeah.
I ain't got my phone on me. Okay. Are these yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get my. Okay, we got the Syrian right here. I think. All right.
Good, good. Check, 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 check.
Testing, testing.
Oh yeah, we good. Facebook. All right, Shalom, Israel. Shalom Bashim Shabrakatah. Shalom Yahashim Bashim Yahushai. Shalom on Christ, Adawan. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, Israel? All right, if you didn't already know, this is the Isupk, Israelite School University of Practical Knowledge. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite groups. Today is the Sabbath service, and today we're going to be going over the power of Christ and the significance that Christ holds, not just on our nation, but of the entire world, to be honest with you. Um, for those who might have not tuned in last class, just like a brief recap, because this will kind of tie into our last class. Um, Last class we went over, who is Christ's father? That was the topic. And the reason why we went over that was because a lot of you so-called Christians today, or people in the world, they try to make it seem as if Christ was this angelic being, like he was supernatural or something. Like, he couldn't, we can never be like Christ. You get my point? Like Christ lived his life perfectly. He never failed the Most High, right? So a lot of people will try to say like, well, y'all probably heard it before. Jesus Christ died for our sins. The Most High hates the sin, but not the sinner. So you have Christians, false prophets. I would say I don't even like using the term prophet, to be honest with you, because I don't even think they deserve that title. But they teach our brothers and sisters that it's okay. Like Christ died for us, and we could just sin away forever and ever and ever. Come to church on Sunday, go to Sunday service, and then go right back to what we was doing before. Because they try to make you believe that we could never be like Christ. And that's why last class we went over, well, okay, who is Christ's father? But that's another thing they try to say. They try to go, what is it, the Virgin Mary? They try to say that Mary just got pregnant out of nowhere. Christ didn't have a biological father. Like they try to make it seem like Joseph was like a stepfather. You get my point? So, but we read last week that Christ had a biological father. Christ had a biological father. Joseph and Mary were married. When we went over many a times, you can read it in Exodus 22. That sex is marriage. We kind of beat the dead horse on that one. So they were married. That was his Slakia. That was Mary's husband. Well, to be a husband, that means they got to be a wife, which means y'all had sex. And Christ was born from the seed of David, because that was Joseph's lineage. So Christ had a form. Christ is a man. Christ is a brother, just like you and me. Okay. So yes, you can be like Christ in the sense of you can be perfect. So we'll give everybody a quick second to tune in, and then we'll get started with the class.
What's wrong? I'm trying to click onto all my classes, but it's not letting me. Maybe just my phone.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
You got okay, yeah, that's on there.
Good.
Let me see. Hold on. Are we going in?
Mm-hmm. All right, so with that, Amijim, just me and the brother up here. Sorry, face me. Sorry.
La Yasharala,
Which is to Israel in the Hebrew. Sorry, face me. Sorry. Sorry, face me. Imagine upon Yahakwadam, which means to rise and face the east. Sisters, remember to have your heads covered. Brothers, remember to have your heads uncovered. We're going to be getting started with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. It's the Lord's Prayer. Abanaw.
Abanaw.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash. Hayah.
Shemka.
Yahweh. Malakutka. Taba'at. Watazaka. Hayah. Aisha. Barataza. Kawa. Hayah. Bashamayim. Latanyanawa. Lakam. Call. Yawam. Wasalaknaw. Kabawatnaw. Kasalaknaw. Kabawathinaw. Walaa. Tabayanaw. Manasaiwan. Abal. Habashinaw. Mayan. Rai. Kaya. Laka. Hamalakwa. Wala Allah. Watapara. Babylonium. Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it.
A cock, which is the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Baba Kashab, Latanyanawa, Hakak, Lapa'ah, Call, Makalat, Makal, Madawat, Hakat, Latahar, Ha, Matazarayim, Hakat, La'aquayim, Hamathium, Hakat, Al, Wakawat, Hatama'ala, Lagarasham, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, the water. Amen. Hakak, the power in the English. Yahweh. In the name of Yahushai. Please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it.
The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Wa
Yahushai. Wa Ma'ak Allah.
Wa
Alahayim.
Batazab
Yahab. Alawap Yahana.
Ha
Alawapyim. Hasarumyim. Hakwatazayonim. Hakayonim. Wathim. Yahweh. Ba'ashem. Yahushai. The water. Amen. The blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yohanan.
Commanding General Yohanan.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains. The officers. The troopers. And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah.
Asha'ah.
Ayanya.
Hayam. Mayan.
Yaba'ah.
Isaiah.
Ma'ayin.
Yahweh. Aisha. Shemayim. Ba'arataza. Yatun. Mamawat. Gagorka. Yanyawam. Shamarka. Nona. La'ah. Nanawam. Wala'ah. Yasham. Shamar. Yasharala. Yahweh. Shamarka. Yahweh. Tazarka. Ayah. Yanyamka. Yanyawam. Hashamash. La'ah. Yakaka. Rayarath. Wala'ala. Yahweh. Yashamarka. Makar. Rai. Yashamar. Atnapashka. Yahweh. Ashamar. Taza'apka. Wawa'apka. Ma'ita. I will not. Psalms 121 in the English. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills.
I will lift up my eyes into the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from the Lord.
My help cometh from the Lord.
Which made heaven and earth.
Which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee.
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
Will not slumber.
Behold.
Behold.
He that keepeth Israel.
He that keepeth Israel.
Shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Shall neither slumber nor sleep.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy shade.
The Lord is thy shade.
Upon thy right hand.
Upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day.
The sun shall not smite thee by day.
Nor the moon by night.
Nor the moon by night.
The Lord shall preserve thee.
The Lord shall preserve thee
from all evil.
From all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
The Lord shall preserve thy going out.
The Lord shall preserve thy going out.
And thy coming in.
And thy coming in.
From this time forth.
This time forth.
And even forevermore.
And even forevermore. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew.
Alahayim. All. Tamiyah. Laka. All. Lakarash. Wa'al. Tashakwat. All. Kaya. Hana. Ayebika. Yahama. Yawam. Ra'ash. Al. Yamaka. Ya'amwa. Sawada. Waita. Tazawa. Al. Tazapawanyika. Hamarwa. Lakawa. Hayakakidim. Wagaya. Wala'ah. Yazakar. Shum. Yasharala. Awada. Kaya. Tazawa. Laba. Yakadwa. Ayaka. Bayrath. Yakarathwa. Ahaya. Adawam. Wa. Yashamai. Aliyam. Awa'aba. Wagariam. Gabal. Walawam. Wamalak. Kalashaf. Amyashabya. Tazawar. Gum. Yashawar. Nalawa. Aiman. Haiwa. Sarawai. Labunya. Salawat. Salat. Aisha. Laham. Kamadyam. Kasaya. Sara'ah. Kayabyam. Banakal. Kayashwan. Nishandawa. Bayan. Dara. Haiwa. Daman. La'ah. Dama. Shayatamwa. Nada. Nanawa. Kaira. Wakaza Wakaza Manai. Call. Nasayakamwa. Ashar. Amarwa. Yarasha. Anawat. Ath. Nawath. Alahayam. Shaitamwa. The Gogla. The Quash. Lapanya. Ra'akwa. Raka'ah, Ka'ash, Taba'ira, Ya'ira, Wa, Kalaba, Talahat, Kahayam, Kan, Taradama, Asa'arika, Wabasa, Wapaka, Tabalamam, Mala'ah, Panaham, Kalawan, Waya, Kwashwa, Shamka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahawa, Ayai, Waya, Kadwa, Waya, Abadwa, Waya, Daiwa, Kaya, Ata, Shamka, Yahweh, Labaka, Alawam, Al, Kal, Kairatazam. Psalms 83 in the English. Keep not thy silence, O God.
Keep not thy silence, O God.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
O God.
O God.
For lo, thine enemies make atonement.
Thine enemies make atonement.
And they that hate thee,
have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel.
They have taken crafty counsel.
Against thy people. and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also was joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zaid. Yea, all their princes as Zabah, and as Almunah, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God. Make them like a wheel. As a stubble before the wind. As a fire burneth a wood. And as a flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest. And make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame. That they may seek thy name. O Lord, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish. That men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth.
Clap it up for the Most High. So today, as I stated before, we're going to be talking about the power of Christ. I feel like a lot of people don't actually know the significance of the power that Christ, Yahweh Shai Mashiach actually holds. So we're going to be starting from the beginning, which is Genesis. We're going to be starting from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1 through 7 in the Hebrew. As you already know, or for those who don't know, Salakia, we're going to be go over it in the Hebrew first, then we'll go over it in the English, and then we'll continue and give a breakdown. So the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1.
You want to give him like a question or something? You want him reading?
Okay, I do have a question. If somebody can answer this question, because we're gonna get into it later. Who was the king at the time when Christ was born? See if anybody could get that. The question is, who was the king when Christ was born? Oh, I know you know Salakia. I'm gonna see if somebody in the comments can get it. Salakia. The question is, who was the king at the time when Christ was born?
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1 in the Hebrew. Baraash Yath Bara Alahayim Ath Hashamayim Wa'ath rataza. Waha rataza. Hawa saha. Hawa ta'a. Sahawa. Wabaha hawa. Waha shak. I'll panya. Saha wam. Ka. Allah hayam. Mara path. Al panya. Hamayam. Waya amar. Allahayam. Yahaya. Awar. Wayahaya. Awar. Waya ra'a. Allahayam. Ath ha'awar. Kaya. Sawab. Waya badal. Allah yum. Bayan. Ha'awar. Wabayan. Wak. Waya kwa raha. Allahayam. War. Yawam. Wala kha shach. Kwa raha. Laya laha. Waya haya. I rob. Waya Bakar. Yawam. Kad. Waya amar. Allahai yum. Yaha. It's like a Yaha. Rach ya I bata yach hamayam wa ya haya mabad y'all mabayal bayan mayam lama yam wa ya ash ala hai yam ath harak ya I why ya ba dal bayan hama yum ashar mata kath la rock ya I.
That's it. Let's clap it up. All right, so we're going to be reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. This is the book of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be lights." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Verse 6. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So this is the beginning, right? This is the Most High creating everything, right? Now, there's something very distinct about this. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, okay, does that mean that the Most High himself created everything? Yes and no. We're gonna get into that. So I'm gonna hold Genesis 1 and 1. Could you give me John 1 and 1?
Okay.
Just want to show everybody a little something real quick.
You want John first?
John 1 and 1, yeah.
The book of John, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning was the Word.
Okay. Now hold that real quick. In Genesis 1 and 1, it says, in the beginning. What is Genesis? The beginning. So go ahead and keep reading.
And the Word was with God.
And the Word was with God. Okay. Who's the Word? Or what is the Word? You go ahead and keep reading.
And the Word was God.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. So this is where this is a precept that Christians will try to use, where they'll try to say that Yahushua Mashiach, or Jesus Christ in the Bible, is the Most High, which is not right. So the term God, right? It can actually be interpreted to power in the Bible. So could you read that one more time from the top, Baba Kasha?
Kind of. The book of John, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God.
And the Word was with God. Okay.
And the Word was God.
Any more on that?
For chapter 1,
that's it?
Kind of.
Okay, so the Word
was with God. In Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So I'm going to bring up the book of Revelations, let's go to chapter 19 and verse 11. We'll see who is the Word, or what is the Word. So let's go. Actually, we'll start at verse 12. His eyes were as flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. But who's the Word? So, okay, you can see right here, the Word was something, right? Now, go where you're at. I'm gonna go to Revelation. We'll go to Revelations chapter 3 and verse 14. Now, this is in red. So this is Christ speaking right now. This is the book of Revelations chapter 3, verse 14. And it says, and unto the angel of the church of
Shalom, sis.
Shalom, Agua, what's going on? And unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. Now, you keep hearing this term, in the beginning. In John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word. In Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, right? It's talking about Christ, okay? Christ is the Word that the Bible is speaking of right now. Right. We're reading out of the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 right now. So it's like, what was that?
If I may too. Like,
go ahead.
Like it's heavy what you're getting into, because this is the decoding of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You see how they like got that movie, the Da Vinci Code and everything like that. Yeah, or, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the ISUBK is really the decoding of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? The teachings in the ISUBK, you're not going to find that anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? And anybody else is just pretty much just taking our teachings and trying to make it seem as if they were the originators. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is the thing. The Bible says that Christ is the Word. So if I can go back to John 1:1,
go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? It says, in the beginning was the Word.
Right.
So in the beginning was Christ. You know what I mean? And the Word was with God. The Word was with power. Christ was with power. You know what I mean? And the Word was God. So the word was power. So you got to think, who was in the beginning? I mean, in the beginning, you know what I mean, the first person to receive the Word or the power was Adam. You know what I mean? So if we get into the whole reincarnation, you know what I mean, you know that the spirit of Adam was also the spirit of Christ. That's probably another classroom. But you know what I mean? Christ did such a great job following the order of creating the heavens and the earth, that the Most High gave it to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he gave it to him, being Adam on the earth, being Adam being the spirit of Christ. So he gave it to him to rule over. So Adam was being the what's the word I'm looking? Is it a progenitor?
Right. Actually, you know what? No, keep going. Where
you got that? Okay.
I'm gonna get it for you.
Okay. Yeah. So Adam being the beginning, he named all the beasts of the field. He named the fowl of the air. You know what I mean? Like, he named the fish in the sea. Like, Adam was working still. So Christ was still working, even when he was on this planet, he was still working. So we're getting to the significance of Christ. Christ was the originator. He's the one who took the order to start off all this, all of what we see. You know what I mean? He started it off, and he's going to be here to finish it. You know what I mean? He's going to be here to finish his prophecy. So, so like, where was I at? And it says on verse 3, all things were made through him. All things being when he was taking that order to make the heavens and the earth. You know what I mean? And without him was not anything made that was made. So Christ was the Most High's first creation. You know what I mean? Technically, he was the Most High's first creation, and he took order to fulfill everything that the Most High wanted as far as the heavens and the earth. So once he got on earth, he was still working. He was still claiming everything that was on this earth. And then, you know what I mean, he was here. Then his mission was to fulfill all the prophecies. You know what I mean? So, but that was it with verse 3, right?
Right. So going a little bit more on what you were saying about, resurrection, right? So Christ was Adam, right? So we're gonna go just a little bit into that. Go to John 3:16. I actually got it for you right now. So this is the book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but everlasting life. So this is referring to Christ, right? But there's actually something else. It's if I can get the chapter. It's in Colossians.
Which one was it?
Colossians talks about Adam.
Oh yeah.
He was the first man.
I think it's Colossians. Is it 2? Chapter 2? Yeah, I'm gonna get it right now. Might be chapter 3. That's the word of Christ.
Living soul. Oh, Salaki, no, it's 1 Corinthians. Salaki.
Corinthians?
Yeah, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45. And this goes into Adam.
You want me to read it?
Con, if you could.
Con.
So 1 Corinthians 15 and 45.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 45. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul.
A living soul.
The last Adam was made a quickening spirit.
So Christ, before Christ was Christ, Christ was Adam, right? And like you said earlier, like Christ is a power. You understand? Christ is a power, and like you said, he did such a good job at following the Most High's orders that the Most High allowed for him to kind of reap his rewards. Like, you did such a good job. I'm going to let you dwell and kind of bask in the glory of what you helped make, right? Now, we read earlier in Genesis, right? And in John 1:1, in the beginning. This is when the Most High and the powers, the angels, everybody was making everything, right? It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And I proposed the question earlier, was it the Most High directly making everything, or did he appoint somebody to make it, right? Now we're talking about the Word. The Word, as we already decoded, is Christ.
Right.
Well, we're going to go a little bit more into it. So we're going to be going to Psalms 33 and 6. Psalms 33 and 6. The book of Psalms, chapter 33.
I got it
verse
right.
6. You got it?
Come. The book of Psalms, chapter 33 and verse 6. By the word of the Lord were the heavens made.
Oh, Salaki, can you read that one more time?
The book of Psalms, chapter 33 and verse 6. by the word of the
word?
By the word of the Lord,
right?
Were the heavens made.
Were the heavens made. Keep going.
And all the host of them by the breath of his mouth.
So we just read right there, by the word of the Lord were the heavens made. Genesis 1:1. If I can go back to that real quick. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning. John 1:1, in the beginning. In the beginning was the word. Genesis, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Christ has power, right? And the thing is, like you said earlier, like your Christian pastor, like if I can, we talk about them a lot, right? Like your Christian pastor, first and foremost, Christians learn from Edomites. Edomites, who are the so-called white man today, the oppressor, they can't decode the Bible. Right. Like we said before, like you read all throughout the Bible, it's in so some of it is very straightforward, but some of it is in parables. How do Black and Hispanic folk talk? In parables. Slang. There you go. Right. We always have like a slang term for something. And it's like every single year we get a new one. But in some way, shape, or form, we all know what we're talking about though. Like I remember, oh my goodness, this was I seen a meme like on Facebook, and it was something about like a brother having drip. Now we know like drip is like you got swag, like you fresh, whatever. And I remember it was some no, I kid you not. I should have screenshotted it. I should have screenshotted it to lock it. That's my fault. So it was some Edomite that commented on it. He was like, "Is he wet?" And I was like, I just sat there and I was like, "Are you serious?" But that's my point though. Like they don't get how we talk. You get what I mean? Like even our Hispanic brothers and sisters, going. And Spanish is just another European language, just like English. But you see other tribes, right? You got so-called Mexicans, Isupk, the Dominicans, Simeon, Puerto Ricans, Ephraim, Salvadorians, Zebulon, was it Asher and Naphtali? Or Naphtali is the Brazilians. Asher is Colombian.
We should do that next class.
We should. That's Colombian. So my point being is, even amongst like our Hispanic brothers and sisters, they kind of have like their own slang in Spanish though. They have their own like Puerto Rican Spanish is not the same as Mexican Spanish. Right. Mexican Spanish is not the same as Dominican Spanish. Right. They all but that's just Israel. Different tribes, same nation though, right? We have our own way of talking, and we know what we're talking about. Why do you think the Bible was written the way it was? It was only meant for our understanding.
That's
now,
a fact.
If I can just, so we already went over how the Word is Christ, and the Word was with God in John 1:1. We went over in Genesis, right? We went over Psalms 33:6. By the Word, right? By the Word, the heavens were made. Now, it sounds like, okay, if you explain this to the average person, they're gonna think, Christ is just like some supernatural angelic being. And, here we strive to follow in Christ's teachings. But Christians will tell you, well, you can't be like Christ. Right? Christ he was perfect, which he was, don't get me wrong. He was perfect. But they try to make it seem like he has like this unattainable status. Like he was just this other entity that we could never be like, right? That's false. Can I get John 1:14?
If I may too, real quick on that, like what you were saying is so heavy about like how we use slang and how we describe ourselves and stuff like that. Like just say like, okay, so the Edomites, they thought that the snake in the garden was an actual snake.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
They thought that the dragon in Revelations was an actual dragon. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think like, okay, how we speak is still the same to this day. Like if we have, say you got a family reunion, like, you know what I mean? That's where you mostly get your nicknames at, like with the kids and stuff like that. And just like, say you see a kid passed out, one of your cousins just always sleep and stuff like that. What you think they call him? They call him Sleepy, or they call him, you know what I mean? Like, or if you got one of your cousins, he real light skinned, what they call him? They call him Red or something like that. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we have these type of ways that we we describe each other through our personalities. You know what I'm saying? And what we do, like, you know what I mean, like, and so most of us get our nicknames from when we were kids. You know what I mean? And characteristics we used to do as we were kids and stuff like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the Bible. That's how you know that the Bible is a black book. You know what I'm saying? But
what you got, Swap? Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mm.
Mm-hmm. The Grand Dragon.
Wow.
So the leader of the KKK was he referring the group or himself as the Grand Dragon? Oh, the leader, the Grand Dragon. That's the spirit of the Most High right there. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely the spirit of the Most High.
This is Esau, right? Yep. See, there you go. My fault. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying, like, that's the spirit of the Most High, because even when America landed on the moon, you know what I mean, Officer Thabawan was getting into that also, like, you know what I mean, what is the first thing they said? You know what I mean, the eagle is landed. And when you get into, you know what I mean, was it the Book of Revelations when they refer Edom as the trying to exalt themselves like the eagle?
The eagle.
Yeah, like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
So all the signs are in front of you of who is who in the Bible.
If I could just comment on that, because what you brought out was an excellent point. Like, going back to like the slang term and like how like this is a black book, right? Like, a lot of people think of the Bible, they think of religion. No, this is history. You get my point? These are records. This is about Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. To go off what you just said, like the eagle. What's the symbol of America? It's the bald eagle.
Right.
You know, they if I could, they treat the bald eagle better than they treat us. Like you gotta remember, it was at one point they had restaurants where it said no blacks, Puerto Ricans, or dogs allowed. You get my point? Like that's what they thought of us. Okay, so their symbol is the eagle. Like you just said earlier, when they landed on the moon, what happened? The eagle has landed.
Right.
To go back on what you said earlier about the serpent, if we could talk about that real quick. Okay, Christians. Okay, this is how Christians would teach it. They teach you that it was like a literal snake that slithered to Eve and, you know, whispered sweet nothing.
Walked.
My fault. The snake walked. Salakia. Because snakes got legs now. So the snake.
And snakes can talk.
Salakia. The snake walked to Eve and talked. This ain't a Disney movie. Salakia.
Right.
That's how they try to make it seem like the snake literally got up, walked, and talked to Eve and told her to eat the apple. Which, no. Going back to the slang. What do we call like a sleazy person today? Well, we say a snake. You a snake. You a rat. You know. All right. So a serpent is a snake. Okay. It wasn't an actual snake. Okay. This isn't Cinderella or what is it? The Princess and the Frog or whatever.
Right.
No, this is real life.
Right.
It was a sleazy, deceitful man that walked to Eve and whispered sweet nothings in her ear to take a bite of the apple. If I could talk about that real quick, that'll be a whole nother class talking about Adam and Eve. But just before we continue, going back into the slang, Eve didn't bite an actual apple
or fruit.
Yeah, it's not it wasn't like what's that movie? Sleeping Beauty. Where she bit like the poisonous apple and she fell into a deep sleep. Mm-hmm. No, that's not what happened with Eve. The apple is a representation of heathen customs,
the fruits of a heathen culture.
There you go. It's a heathen culture. She took a bite, figuratively speaking, of heathen customs.
all right, the Lord said we're not supposed to follow the way of the heathen, but you know how that went. We just being disobedient as always. So Eve did that. That's what happened. She didn't bite an actual apple. Snakes don't got legs. If you don't believe me, Google it. Okay. So just to, oh my goodness.
If I may too, to make it make sense as far as a realistic type of way, child support, spousal support,
which is stupid. How you gonna
welfare, food stamps, all these things that the Edomites or our oppressors have given our women today to exalt them over the man, the black man in our society today. You know what I'm saying? He's given the woman all these weapons to destroy a black man. So he wants her to act rationally and out of emotion. So he's given her the weapon and the tools to destroy a black man. So because we are destroyed internally, you know what I'm saying? Anything that we do that might seem like it's, you know what I mean, opposing or it might hurt our sisters, they could use it against us. You know what I mean? Our oppressors have put our women over us so that and giving them the because he's not gonna I mean, even though he's killing us today, he's not gonna stab us in front of our women and just say, hey, come and stab us too.
Nah,
he's gonna hand her the knife and give her a reason. Hey, girl, you know you know what I mean, he looked like he was talking to Mary Jane across the block. You know what I mean? He's gonna give her that weapon, and he's gonna make her do it herself, which is what he did that day in the days in the Garden of Eden. You know what I mean? He was giving her reasons to feel like she can be exalted over God himself. Like you could be a God.
Didn't she persuade Adam?
Right.
She persuaded Adam.
Right.
Guess what happened when he listened to her? Guess what he did? He did the same thing she did.
And that's no different than a sister going up to, you know what I mean, a brother, you know what I mean, he's from one hood and she say, oh yeah, well, whoop-de-whoop from this hood, he tried to holler at me, even though she slept with him, you know what I mean, plenty of times before, you know what I mean, but he made her mad, so she went up to the dude from the op hood that she was messing with and said, hey, you know what I mean, whoop-de-whoop, he's trying to mess with me, like, you should go see about him. And what does he do? He goes sees about him. What happens? Hood wars happen, and hundreds of our brothers die from just a word of mouth from a woman. And you know what I mean, and the same with Adam. You know what I mean, she told him, you know what I mean, if we sitting here in this state right here, but we could be in a way better state if we was to do this or if we was to do that. You know what I mean? We could be in a way better state. We can be living like they do over here. Like, you know what I mean? They living free. We got to live by all these rules and all these regulations. They over there free. We can be like them. What happens? You know what I mean?
Destruction.
Adam follows you know what I mean? He follows a woman. And what do? When the Most High came see about them, they try to lie about their situation,
which is a sin. And just to go on the topic of, you know, the power, we're talking about the power of Christ, right? But we're also talking about a power structure. So not to get too off topic, just to briefly talk about what you were talking about just now about, you know, when Adam listened to Eve, you know, when she listened to that serpent. Not an actual serpent. We already went over that.
Right.
A snake, a sleazy, a deceitful man.
Right.
We go into the power structure that is ordained in the Bible. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians 11 and 3. I'm going to get to you on one moment. Hold John 1 and 14. And I'm going to go over 1 Corinthians 11 and 3.
I got you right now.
And I'm going to answer your question in a second, Swap. I got it.
Okay,
before you read that, I'm going to read this real quick. So 1 Corinthians 11 and 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. Right? The head of every man is Christ, a power structure. And the head of the woman is man. Trickles down, a chain of command. You get my point? And at the time, well, Adam disrupted the chain of command. You get my point? You know, what he should have done at that time, he should have corrected his woman. Right. That's what he should have did. But instead, he listened to her. Just to kind of go off what you were talking about earlier, like, because that still happens today. You know, you hear through the grapevine of, oh yeah, you know, this dude put his hands on me or blah, 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 blah. Little do you know, she was really sleeping with him the whole time.
Right.
But, you know, then she tells her man, or it could be like her brother or somebody, you know, just, it could be just a man in her life. It doesn't necessarily have to be her husband. It could be a brother. It could be a son. It could be her father, right? Oh, he did whatever. And it turns out, you know, he never really did that. The manipulation,
right,
whatever.
Right.
And then guess what? It's like if I could, it's in a man's natural nature to protect his women, daughters, you know, wives, nieces, even his mother, you know, grandmother, aunties. That's just how we are, right? So of course, brothers in the world, because they lack structure, you know, they just, you know, on top of that, they, you know, high as hell, they probably drunk, whatever, you know, that's just the condition of our people anyway. But my point is, we'll just go off the hinges and just get ourselves killed or kill somebody else. Right. That's my whole point. Salak, before I continue, I know you had your hand raised, Swap. Ooh-wee. Exactly.
Right. And that's heavy as hell.
And it's like, if I could, I forgot the exact precept, but it refers to like that type of man that you're talking about, like he's on his belly, like a snake. And before we continue, just one more time, because what you brought out was heavy too, the water for that. Y'all ever seen that flag? Don't tread on me. What's on there? It's a snake. there you go. So all right, so but we'll move on from that. Water for that again. So we're gonna go to John 1:14. The reason why we're going to Salakia, sis, what you got? My fault.
I like to ask a question about that flag don't tread on me. That means don't do me what I do, or what do that mean?
Salakia.
Don't tread on me. It's like don't. I think it's not don't judge me, but it's like
something like that.
Don't. I mean, it has something to do with being like lawless, like don't. Damn, when's the?
I'll probably have to trade. I might have to get back to you on that one, sis.
I work in Rancho area. What is it? The Ukaipa area and all that stuff. They all wear those type of shirts and like that. Yeah, it's the don't tread on me shirts. They use that as a representation of their of how much they don't like niggas.
For real? I mean, damn. Well, there you go.
Right. Yeah. It's don't tread on me is kind of just like it's like don't push me or something like that. Like
something like that.
Don't.
I have to get back to you on that one. That's there's a meaning.
It's something like that. But the don't tread on me is more so just like don't try to put any authority over me. Like it's something like that. Like don't something like that. It's just I mean, no different from the KKK and them.
Right.
Putting on the white hoodies and I mean, it's the same thing. They do the same thing.
If I could, can I get John 1:14? So the reason why we're going over this is because I made a comment before of, you know, we're talking about how, you know, the position of authority, you know, the chain of command, the power that Christ has, right? So it can get, it's very easy to believe in like, oh, you know, he's just, we can't be like Christ. You know, it's very easy to get into that mindset. So if you could read John 1:14, Baba Kasha.
Sure. You said 1:14?
1:14, John 1:14.
The book of John, chapter 1 and verse 14. And the word was made flesh.
The word was made flesh. So we went over earlier. The word was Christ, right? In the beginning was the word, but the word was made flesh. Go ahead.
And dwelt among us.
Dwelt among us. What did Christ do? He dwelt among his brethren. Go ahead.
And we beheld his glory. Mm-hmm. The glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
There you go. Now, this goes more into what I was talking about earlier. Christ was made in the flesh. What does it mean to be in the flesh? Because we're all in the flesh, right? What are things that you go through? What are things that you go through? Pretty much being human. What are things that you go through? What are all things that we go through? What you got, sis? Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. No, you're right. Mm-hmm. Right. No, that's exactly right, sis. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's it. And the sister got it right on point. Right. That's exactly what it was. Like Christ went through things just like us. He felt, like you said, anger, emotion. You know, he suffered temptation. You know, he went through things just like us. You don't think when he was getting nailed that he wasn't feeling pain? Christ wept. Right. Christ wept. Christ probably got pissed off. You know how we have camp. Christ was doing camp before it was called camp. You don't think he wasn't getting upset when people was disobeying the law? People was probably throwing things at him, saying all types of racial slurs and offending him, probably harming his brothers. You know, you don't think he wasn't getting mad? I know we talking about the power of Christ. You don't think Christ could have had women?
Even that.
Like, for real, like, we talking about Christ. You get my point? Right. Like, this is the brother, if you get my point. You don't think he could have had any woman he wanted?
So I get it too. Like, you know what I mean, Christ didn't want to die, just like we don't want to die.
Exactly.
I mean, like when Christ knew his time was coming close, you know what I mean, he went out to himself to go pray to the Most High. Like, you know what I mean, if there's any other way, like, exactly, please, like, let me know. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the same way that we would react too if we knew that our time was the next, if we knew we had to die the next day. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna try to find any excuse because that pressure and that stress is it's gonna overwhelm us. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, I gotta die tomorrow. Like, damn.
I know, like, I'm just like, damn. I'm just like thinking of that.
Yeah, you thinking about it like, you know, like Christ knew his time. Like he knew that he was gonna have to die that next day. So he was, I mean, he was pleading to the Lord, like, you know what I mean, if there's anything, I mean, but if it but he was still strong also because his last word that at the end of him pleading, like, if there's any other way, he still said, if it has to be so, you know what I mean, then your will be done. You know what I'm saying? So he knew what he had to do. He knew his mission, and he knew, like, I mean, I got to carry this out, but I mean, if there's any other way, you know what I'm saying? If we can find any other thing to just, you know what I mean, that's how I feel. I know that much. Exactly. I don't know if anybody else feel the same way, but that's how I feel too. Like, I probably would have been worse than that. I'll be like, you know what? Judas is gonna turn on me anyway. I don't even like. Why I'm gonna die for him for?
Oh, it's a lot. Nah, but like what you saying is true though. Like, that's a normal reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody like, damn, I gotta die.
That's the ultimate stress.
Like, and like, and the thing is, like, think about it, like, you know, you're gonna, like, you're thinking about it, and it's like
it's running. Yeah, it's running.
Yeah, like,
your brain
it's
all
weighing
day.
on you. Like, but like you said,
it's
like,
you know,
like Christ, you know, he still stuck it out. You know,
right.
He understood that, you know, if there is no other way, hey, you know, it is what it is. You know, we say that today. It is what it is. It's like, you know, if we don't want to do something, like, man, I really don't feel like getting up for camp today.
Right.
But, you know, if my Ottawa tell me I gotta go, it is what it is.
Right.
I don't want to go to work today.
Right.
But I gotta get this bread, so it is what it is.
Right.
Like, you know, that was the same mentality Christ said. Like, hey, let's do it. You know, Salakia, I know you had your hand up, Sawat. Oh, what you got?
Oh yeah.
Hebrews chapter 2, verse 16.
Hebrews 2 and 16.
Oh, I have that too. Go ahead. Yeah, read that.
For verily, he took not on him the nature of angels.
Right.
But he took on him the seed of Abraham.
That's it on that? Hey, no, for what? I actually had that in my notes.
It behooved him to be made like unto his brother?
Yeah, that was
Is that the one?
I think it's that one.
Yeah.
But no, what you brought out was heavy. Yeah, no, yeah, Hebrews 2 and 16. Yeah, You know, he didn't take on the nature of angels. Like, okay, if we can go into angels real quick. Angels.
Hey, shalom, sir.
Don't.
Shalom, I don't want.
It's not okay. Angels don't go through the things that we go through as far as temptation. You get my point?
Right.
Like, angels were made to follow orders. There is no, like, it says that they take pleasure in carrying out the orders of the Most High. You get my point? Like, when they were sent to Sodom and Gomorrah to burn that place down, oh, they enjoyed following the orders of the Most High. That's what they're made to do. The thing is with being in the flesh, though, we have temptation.
Right.
We have doubt, anger, sadness, emotion. You get my point? Christ had the same thing. Like it says in could you read that one more time? Hebrews 2:16, Baba Kasha?
Hebrews chapter 2, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
For verily he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham.
The seed of Abraham, meaning that he came from a lineage. Okay, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and he came from David's lineage. All right, because his father, biological father, was Joseph, who was the lineage of David. Christ is a man. You get my point? That's the whole point of it. He didn't take on, like, that's why you could use this precept alone to cut any Christian, because they always want to argue like, no, Christ is the Most High. Christ is an angel. We can't be. No, it just said right there he did not take on the nature of angels.
Right.
Because the thing is, how can we follow an angel? They're not gonna suffer the same, I guess you could say, like, emotional turmoil or stress or whatever it is that we feel. So how can we follow something? All right, Christ sets the example. Okay,
And that's the excuse also, because if he's an angel, I can never be as perfect as he was.
exactly.
Because he was born, he didn't have a father like I did. He was brought straight from God himself. You know what I mean? He wasn't made like me. He wasn't like me. Like, that's the excuse that, you know what I mean? You got to see the look in a Christian or a Catholic's face when you tell them that Christ had a daddy, just like you and me. You know what I mean? Christ's parents, you know what I mean, slept with each other out of wedlock, how we would say it. You know what I mean? Slept with each other out of wedlock. You know what I mean? Kind of like how it's pretty much the same way most of our parents did the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, Christ was born in the ghetto. You know what I mean? He was raised up with roaches up in the crib too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You don't think about it like that. Like, you know what I mean? He had to eat top ramen noodles like us. You know what I mean?
For real.
You don't think about it like that.
Nazareth was the hood. For real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Nazareth was the hood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't think about it. So it makes him less human. It makes him more sustainable to follow the law, and you less likely to follow the law if you don't. That's their theory. But we know the truth about Christ. Christ had a mother and father just like us. You know what I mean? They had sex and had him. You know what I mean? He was born in the ghetto just like us. He at a young age, he knew his purpose, and he had to fulfill that purpose, something that we don't really know at being us today. You know what I mean? Like, before, it was a difference. Like, but at us in this day and age, a lot of kids are born with no purpose. No, they don't know how to fulfill their talents or whatever like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because we're just born and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? The parents are having kids and they're just dealing with their kids. They're not trying to give them any type of, you know what I mean, give them any type of structure or any type of guidance to what they believe that the child may or may not be good at. You know what I mean? Getting them to follow their dreams pretty much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So Christ knew exactly what he was supposed to do while he was a child. You know what I mean? He was 12 years old preaching to head church what I gotta call them? Head church leaders. Right. You know what I mean? Like, Christ knew what he was supposed to do at a young age, and he had a talent for serving the Most High. That was his talent. So, you know what I mean? He was made just like us. He was just like us. Like, the same feelings we feel today. When we get stressed out, we can't pay a bill. When we get stressed out, like, oh, how am I gonna keep this phone on? I'm gonna keep these lights on.
Right.
How am I gonna I mean, cook dinner tonight? Like the same feelings. Like he had to feel all those things, all of them. Mm-hmm. And then not just that, he knew he had to die in order to get us out of that mentality, man. To get us out of that depression, to get us out of that poverty. You know what I mean? Christ knew from a young age that he had to die just to save others. You know what I mean? Just to save others. Like he could have saved himself, but he denied that because just think about if you had someone pointing a gun at you and someone pointing a gun at somebody that you didn't even know, and they asked you, you know what I mean? All right, I can shoot him and just let you go, or I could just shoot you and I'll let him go. You know what I mean? Christ was put in that pressure of having to choose whether it's between us or him. You know what I mean? Because he, like he said, you know what I mean, he can have angels come down and, you know what I mean, and take him out of that situation.
Oh, actually, I think
but he chose not to. You know what I mean? He chose not to. He chose to take every bit of the beating, every bit of the suffering, every bit of the torture, even when his own people were spitting and slapping him in the face and screaming for him to get killed and crucify him and kill him. Even those same people, he died for them too. You know what I mean? And he died for them to get a chance to be able to change, because he said, you know what I mean, they know not what they do. They know they don't know what they're doing right now. And just like our people to this day, we sit over, they slander us and they turn their backs on us, and they just like, oh, they wicked and they part of a cult and everything like that. And all we gotta do is see it as, you know what I mean, they don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Take an L like Christ took, you know what I mean? Take an L like, you know what I mean, what Stephen took, you know what I mean? Like they don't know what they're doing. Right. They're just lost.
And if I could, real quick, matter of fact, to go off what you just said, could you give me Matthew 26:53? Oh. I'm gonna get Hebrews 1:4. So just to go a little bit more into the power of Christ, right? Because what you brought out was so heavy, like the character. Having good character is power. You get my point? Like we said earlier, like Christ wasn't an angel. You know, like Swap brought out, I believe it was Hebrews 2:16. You know, he did not take on him the nature of angels, right? Meaning that he if you think about it, he wasn't pre-programmed to follow. Like he knew the law, but it was up to him to follow the law. It wasn't like, you know, an angel. They just do it. There's no like, I don't really want. No, there is none of that. They just do it. And like you said earlier, Christ could have saved himself. Christ could have been like, well, I'm perfect. Y'all out here eating pork and sleeping with whores and being a homosexual and getting high and being an adulterer or an adulteress. Like, why I gotta save you? That's I'm gonna be real with you. That's a normal thought. People think that. Brothers and sisters think that today. Like you said earlier, like, you know, you got a gun aimed at somebody got a gun aimed at somebody that you don't even know. Matter of fact, it could be somebody, you know, it could be somebody that been so hateful and vengeful towards you your whole life, but then they got a gun aimed at you, and they're like, okay, you know what? Either I'm gonna kill him and you can go, or like you said, I kill you and he can go. It seems very easy to be like, well, you can kill him.
Yeah, I don't know him.
I don't know him. Matter of fact, I don't even like him. He fired me the other day. That's my boss. I don't even like him. He cut my paycheck. I can't pay my bills. I got laid off. Like, it's very easy to think that, right? That's giving into that hateful spirit, that temptation. But Christ didn't do that. So I'm gonna read Hebrews 1:4. Being made so much better than the angels, as he hath by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. Okay, so let me go into this real quick. The angels respect Christ. Like I said earlier, like angels, in a sense, they don't know how to fail. They just do it, right? Christ, on the other hand, like we read earlier, he was made in the flesh. In Hebrews 2:16, he did not take on the nature of angels. So you got to think, in a sense, he's better than an angel. Now, I know that might kind of throw some people off a little bit, but here's the reason why, though. It's because he knows temptation. Right. It's because he knows what we go through. It's because that he was in the flesh and still denied all that. And I guess you could say, I'm gonna say it like this: he behaved, as we all should, like an angel. He followed all the orders that were given to him. And still, like, angels don't have to deny emotion. They don't worry about that stuff. But Christ did.
Right.
Christ had to weep. Christ mourned. Christ watched people die. Okay, he lost. You gotta think, Christ probably lost friends.
Right.
You get my point? You know, but he still denied all that. Even at the moment, like you brought up earlier, which was so heavy, he had a moment of like, damn, I'm really about to go through with this. Like, I'm really about to die. Like, for real. Like, he knew it already, but it was coming to that point of like oh, this is really about to go down. And he prayed to the Most High, like, look, if there's any other way that I cannot do this, like, let me know. But if I have to do it, then so be it. It is what it is. And he did it. For brothers and sisters like you and me, you gotta think, some of them, I ain't gonna say some. Most of them brothers and sisters, like how we go through today, they probably hated Christ. They hated Christ. It wasn't just heathens that was like throwing stuff at him and like, no, it was other brothers and sisters.
Right.
You know, they was cussing them out, spitting on them, throwing stones at them, all that stuff. But he still took it upon himself to die for even them. For even them. Like, think about that. As wicked as you may think that you might have been before you came into this truth, if anybody who may be watching this in the future or now, you might think like, you know, I'm just a horrible person, whatever. Like, you got to think, these people were striking Christ.
Man.
Think about that. And he still died for them.
Spitting in his face, ripping his clothes off his back.
Man. You know, but that's what I was saying earlier. Like, your character holds power. Okay, Christ's character holds power. Him being perfect and following every single order that was given to him holds power.
Man.
You know, and let's see. Slaki, if I could, I'll move on from that. We'll go to we're gonna read a little bit. We got time. We'll read a little bit about the importance of when Christ was born. Can I get Matthew 2:8, Baba Kasha? Revelation.
When Christ comes back to spread judgment. I mean, if you ain't got it, it's cool.
Okay. I don't think I got that one on those.
You said Matthew's
2 and 8.
2 and 8.
We're gonna read a little bit of the significance of when Christ was born.
The book of Matthew, chapter 2 and verse 8. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child.
Okay. Keep going.
And when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also.
So this is talking about Herod. For those of y'all who don't know who Herod is, this is why I proposed the question earlier. I don't think anybody answered it, but it's Tawab. So Herod was the king at this time, right? But Herod was not a brother. Herod was an Edomite who was posing as a brother. Now, what's the importance of this? Go ahead and keep reading.
Verse 9. When they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star, which they saw in the east, went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way.
So if I could real quick, this is the Most High warning them to not go, to not let Christ see Herod? There's a reason why, though. Keep going.
Verse 13. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring the word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
To destroy him. Okay. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is thing about having power, right? You become a threat to other nations. Like, there's a reason why, okay, at one point, they didn't even want brothers and sisters able to read. Because I know y'all have heard this before, with knowledge comes power, right? They didn't want us to know how to read, because Lord forbid we started reading this and actually started being able to interpret what was really in here and not listening to them fake Christians and stuff like that. Look, Esau would have fell down a long time ago, but it wasn't prophesied at the time, you know, that's a whole nother thing. But my point being is Christ had power even when he was born. You get my point? Like, when he came out the womb, why though? What makes you feel like he had power? Because Herod, who was the king at this time, and he was an Edomite, you can Google that yourself, you ain't got to believe me, he heard of Christ being born. Now, I would say that, you know, he wanted to see the child, right? You know, he wanted to hold him in his arms, you know, see the baby. No, because we just read at the end of verse 13 in the book of Matthew chapter 2, actually, yeah, verse 13, Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Why? Because Christ was a threat to his position. He knew who Christ was. Just like how Esau knows who you are. You might not know who you are, but Christ, not Slakia, Esau knows who you are. Why do you think they work so hard to keep us down? Let's talk about that real quick. Like, I used to think, okay, when I was younger, like teenage years and stuff like that, I used to think, like, man, why do white folk always got to mess with us? Like, this is my thought process. I'm like, they've already won. They've already got everything. They run this country. We at the bottom of the totem pole. They took us from, well, actually, no, Slakia. Africans sold us off, Slakia. Sold us off, and we were brought into a land that we did not know. And then all for our Hispanic brothers and sisters, their land was taken from them. The tribe of Isupk, the Mexicans today, okay, they broke all their treaties, and now half of Mexico is not even Mexico anymore. You know it as Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, California. You know, this was all Mexican territory, Issakarite territory. They took all that, right? They know who you are as a people. That's why they're never gonna let up. They're gonna keep going at you. If you don't realize it now, like, we're at war. We've been at war. And Esau knows this. That's why he keeps going and going and going and going and going and continues to try to oppress. Now, you know, it's like, he doesn't try to oppress us. He does oppress us to this day. You might think that, okay, you might think that you might be living good. Let's say, okay, you know, there's brothers and sisters out there that are, you know, doing good financially. You know, they got good homes, you know, sister got a husband, or, you know, brother got a wife, whatever, kids, put them in a white school, you know, whatever, make it seem like they got a better education. We have celebrities. We got hundreds of celebrities who are brothers and sisters today, but who runs them? Who runs them? I remember, actually, matter of fact, what's her name? Chloe Bailey. Chloe Bailey, she's a sister in the world celebrity, right? She's a singer. And I never really watched her videos like that, but I've seen like some of her older stuff. Sister got a real beautiful voice, right? She could sing really well. And I watched some of her older stuff, and, you know, the sister wasn't really, she wasn't like your Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and all that, Sweetie and City Girls and stuff like that. And because, you know, they just be complete whores, right? She wasn't really doing that. But then, just the other day, there was a video that came out of, I guess, a song that she had out or whatever. She doing the same thing they doing now. Shaking her behind, whoring herself out, all that stuff. Okay, but why though? Why am I talking about that? I'm talking about that because that's what other nations want our women to be like. It's degrading. You know, they make sin look good. Kind of what you were talking about before. Like they give like sisters like the weapons to use against brothers and stuff like that. And it ain't just sisters. It ain't just sisters. You know, what? Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Baby, who else? What's the name? Trippy Red. Like a lot of these brothers today, they just drugged out all these things. There's a reason why they do that. It's warfare. It's warfare because they make this music, right, about murdering, killing, having sex with another man's woman, being a homosexual at this point. I don't even want to talk about Lil Nas X. I'm tired of seeing him. I'm tired of it. It's just everywhere, right? But who runs that stuff? They got bosses too. They got lavish jobs. That's all it is. It ain't no different from being a house nigga. Salakia, but that's really what it is though, okay? They project that stuff to our community to make us be like that. Because if you a sister and you want to be like Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Sweetie, City Girls, all the now sadly Chloe Bailey, when you want to be like that, it looks good, right? What you don't realize is it destroys you. You know, you're not gonna have a stable marriage in your life unless you change. You're gonna be hopping from rod to rod to rod all your life. You're gonna go through what, 12 husbands, but nobody wants to keep you. It doesn't matter how good you look. Okay. I remember, what's that song? Beyonce. It was it Single Ladies? And it's glorifying being a single woman, right? You know, that strong, independent black woman. Here's the thing, Beyonce's married.
All right.
She's married. She ain't singing about her. That hit wasn't about you loving your husband. No. All the single ladies, right? Beyonce is married. That's what's being pushed out to our communities. That's just an example. Why am I talking about this? Is because Esau knows who the children of Israel are. That's why he's never going to let his foot up off of our necks. Okay? It's warfare. It's no different from when Herod was just like before. He was trying to portray it like, oh, you know, I just want to see Christ. You know, it's okay. No. It just said that he was looking for him to kill him. He was going to kill a baby. You get my point? He was going to try to kill Christ. But the Most High wasn't going to let that happen, okay? Because Christ had to fulfill a prophecy, and he had a duty that he had to fulfill, and he fulfilled it, okay? That's why you need to understand the power that you have. You hear it all the time, like, okay, I remember going to the mall one time. It was a group of white girls, right? Mall cop walking by. Didn't pay no mind to them. It was like me and like a few other brothers. They told us we had to split up because they didn't like us. They didn't like a whole bunch of black and Hispanic boys hanging out with one another. And we were teenagers, by the way. I think I was like 13, 14 years old. I was 13. I was 14. I just graduated 8th grade. I'm 14, man. I'm not even in high school yet. But they were threatened by the sight of black and Hispanic young men walking with one another. It made them nervous because brotherhood is power. You get my point? Brotherhood is power. Sisterhood is power. Okay? And they were shook, just like how Herod was shook when Christ was born. Why do you need to know this? Just like how Christ has power, you have power. You need to understand that in the position that you have as a brother or a sister. Like I just brought up, I believe it was in 1 Corinthians when we talked about the power structure of the chain of command within our nation. For Christ is the head of every man, and man is the head of every woman. All right? There's a power structure. And you need to understand that. If I could, we'll go, let's see. How much time we got? I'll skip that. Salakia. We'll go to John. Let's see. John 1 and 12. John 1 and 12. And I'm gonna get Revelation 2 and 26.
Okay. The book of John, chapter 1 and verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God.
This is Christ talking right now. Okay, read that one more time, Baba Kasha.
God. The book of John, chapter 1, and verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God.
To become the sons of God. So, I mean, we are the children of the Most High, right? But it's like Christ is going to give you power. You get my point? Christ is going to give you power over these other nations. Matter of fact, I got to talk about that. No, you can hold that. Where is it? Salakia. Actually, no, that's fine. I'll go over Revelations chapter 2, verse 26. It's the book of Revelations chapter 2, verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Who's the superpower right now? America.
All right.
Esau.
All right.
Babylon, North America, United States, whatever you want to call it. They are the superpower right now, right? People think China or Russia, they're going to take over, whatever. No. It says right here in verse 26, he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Like I said earlier, you have power, but Christ is gonna be the King of Kings. My point, right? But there's going to be, again, a government, a power structure. There's, just imagine this, right? We walk outside San Bernardino, I'm thinking of back home for me, like Hartford is just like San Bernardino, Slovakia, just your hoods, right? And you see, Esau doing whatever he does, whatever, ruling over this nation, forcing you to do things that you don't want to do, and you got to abide by his rules and regulations. Thing is, in Esau's nation, it's just all types of wicked. Like, I know I bring this up like every single class, but like what you said to me that one day during class really sticks with me. Esau is a lawless people. He don't even follow his own law, right? Like, sisters got to go, oh my goodness, sisters got to go through things like being worried when they walk outside, because there's rapists out there, straight up, who will harm you, right? That's why, okay, for me personally, okay, due to my slave, when we went to different countries and stuff, we had a buddy system. It was called like a Liberty buddy. When you go out on Liberty, it's like freedom, whatever, right? So when we go out on Liberty, we have a buddy system, and they would warn us like, hey, but both the men and the women, obviously. When you go out to these different countries, do not walk by yourselves. Travel in groups of 3. Why? Because you're a target. Sisters are a target. Brothers are a target, okay? You can't even feel comfortable having your kids play outside because you don't know if somebody's going to snatch them up. Somebody could snatch them up in broad daylight. I'm sick and tired of seeing, kidnapping posts on my timeline and stuff like, this 14-year-old sister is missing. This brother's been missing for the past 24 hours. Nobody's seen his body. Those things happen. And it's still happening today. Just going back to the nature of Esau. We in COVID. It's like, you ain't got nothing better to do than to kill us. Like, people are dying off of a virus. But Esau still finds time to mess with us. Because, like I said earlier, we're at warfare. He knows who you are. What is it? The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all of them, like they know, some of them, okay, I ain't gonna say they know the Bible, but they know who you are in the Bible, and they know who they are in the Bible. They recognize that we are their enemy in a sense. Now, wouldn't it be nice to live in a country where Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians ruled, where we can enforce our laws, our statutes, our commandments? Wouldn't it be nice to let your kids play outside and you don't gotta worry that somebody's gonna snatch them up? Wouldn't it be nice to know that your kid is gonna come back safely from school? That they're not gonna, that your daughter isn't gonna get pregnant at a young age and the man's gonna leave out of her life and she gotta be a single baby mama by the age of 16? Wouldn't it be nice to know that your son isn't gonna be susceptible to gang violence or to drugs or suicidal thoughts or, be killing himself or killing other people?
Wouldn't it be nice to know that he's going to go to, let's say, okay, he goes out with his friends. You know that your son's going to come back that night because you don't have to worry about the police pulling him over and killing him because he looks like a suspect or he fits the description, or maybe that Edomite just had a bad day and he need to take out his rage on somebody else. This is why this is important. When it says that he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, meaning that you got to stay diligent. You can't just come into the truth and leave. You get my point? You can't just sit here and learn these things and then be like, all right, I'm good. I'm straight now. Because I guarantee you the day you leave is the day Christ come back. Right. I guarantee you, okay? And you're going to be mad as hell because you didn't endure to the end. And you're not just doing it for you, right? It's not just you. It's not about you. Like when Christ died for us, it wasn't just about him. He could have made it about him, but he didn't, right? But you're doing this for your kids, your kids' kids, your kids' kids' kids, you know, for brothers and sisters who are not in the truth, things like that. You get my point? So we got to get to the kingdom. When the kingdom come, I mean, I hope it's a lot sooner than I think personally. Like I hope so too. I'm tired of this place, man. It's like I had a notice on my door about my rent. I'm like, hold up now, like I paid my rent, so I'm good. Don't give me, I'm good. I'm good. But I was just like, I seen the paper and I'm like, I ain't got that right now. Like Slocky. But like you get my point. Like we gonna get there, okay? But you gotta do your part. You gotta endure to the end. You need to recognize the power that you have, and you need to recognize the power that Christ has. Okay, understand the true chain of command, who the real powers are. Your presidents, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we had what 44 presidents? I think it's 44. All right, 44 presidents. We've been voting. 45. I think it might be 45 now. I think because the joke is it 45? Okay, Thawada. So 45 now. I thought Trump was 45th president. I think he was the 44th. I think 44? Joe Biden is the actual 45th. Okay. But Salakia, my point being is we have a lot. We had all these false leaders. We've been voting forever, right? Because we believe that they were the power. Look where we at. Ain't nothing changed. It just sound good. Nothing has changed. It was just one heathen to the next. Before it was all Edomites, and then we had a Hamite for a little bit, disgusting. And now we got another Edomite with a so-called East Indian woman who tries to pose off just like Herod. Herod tried to pose as Israel, but he was really an Edomite, showing his true nature. Now we got Kamala Harris, who's really East Indian, who tried to portray herself as a black woman, but she showed her behind already. You know, so recognize who the real power is. But Slagia, that's all I got. So for now, you got anything before we close the class?
So we get into what is the power of Christ. The power of Christ is that the power of Christ is that we would have not a shot in this world without him. You know what I mean? We would forever be under someone else's captivity. We will forever always be building up someone else's empire, and we will always be in poverty, being taken advantage of, being killed, being, I don't know if I should use the other R word, you know what I mean, but being forcefully taken, you know what I mean, and what else? You know what I mean, being taken advantage of. You know what I mean? Without Christ, there is no redemption for Israel. We don't get payback for the things that the brutal things that were done to us in the past. We don't get that back without Christ. You know what I mean? Christ was the ultimate sacrifice. You know what I mean? He's the mediator for our prayers to even get to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? We don't even get heard unless it's for Christ. So for those who are claiming to be, you know what I mean, all Old Testament, you know what I mean, Israelites or so-called Israelites, all Old Testament, then you should probably take an ear to this. You know what I mean? Without Christ being the mediator, you don't even get heard. You don't even you don't get the perfect sacrifice. You don't get back into the covenant. You know what I mean? There is no getting back into the covenant, getting back into the laws without, you know what I mean, Christ. And that's Christ's power. You know what I mean? That's Christ's power as far as what he's done so far. Now, we still are walking in the pages of this book right now. Christ is going to show what God's power is. He's going to be a vessel to show what God's wrath is to a place who has murdered, robbed, and I don't even know if I'll just say it, damn it, and raped his people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? Christ is going to get payback and he's going to be the perfect example of how terrible the Most High could be to you. You know what I mean? A lot of people are going to wish that they took heed and wish that they actually took the times of right now serious. They're going to wish that they looked at this time right now like, damn, like why was I even clubbing at that time period? Like obviously it was a pandemic, like, you know what I mean? I shouldn't even been in there. Like, for real. I should have took that time period serious, because it's not like we've seen a time like this before. We never seen a time like this before. You know what I mean? Where stuff is happening back to back to back to back. People are dying back to back to back to back. We haven't seen a time period like this. So this is a sign for you to let you know that your time is really not. You probably got until tomorrow. You probably got until next week. You probably got until today. You probably want to switch up all the things that you do that you feel like could be displeasing to the Most High. You want to switch those up instantly, because when you see Christ come back, you're gonna know exactly what his power is. You know what I mean? You're gonna know the authority that the Most High gave Christ, because it's going to be a terrible day. It's going to be a terrible day. It's going to be a day where people are really begging and crying and pleading, Lord, please. I sat in church and I came to church every Sunday. Man. You know what I mean? Like, why am I here? Like, why am I going to have to go through this? You know what I mean? It's just like, you like, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And Christ has to come and lay judgment to those who sat there and neglected him for so long. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right now is not a time period where you want to keep trying to you want to keep an open eye out for anything that you would think that is pleasing to the Most High. Mm-hmm. If what we're doing and we seem like we're extremists and we're doing this, there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? Because we know exactly how terrible the Most High can be. And if you know how terrible the Most High can be, you would be an extremist also. You're not going to be sitting over here dancing and singing, thinking that everything's just all about a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You would know that, hey, if I mess up on this, then, you know what I mean, there's a chance that I'm going to pretty much not walk out of this hole. You know what I mean? So we talk about the power. We talk about the power of Christ. Christ was given authority of power. You know what I mean? And Christ is going to have to lay down that power as far as the creation, as far as fulfilling, as far as the prophecies, and now he's going to have to destroy and build up. And that's where we're going to next as far as the prophecies. Destroying and building up. Because, you know what I mean, woe to a town that's built off of blood. You know what I'm saying? So you already know how America was created. You know what the Edomites are in the Bible, because their characteristics fit so perfectly, you know what I mean, within the nation of Edom. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you know all these things, and if you know that Edom is the last that rule and Israel will be next coming up, that should already be a sign for you to already be like, all right, this Bible is real. I'm gonna stop playing around with this stuff. I'm just gonna sit down, and at least I'm just gonna take it at time and effort. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Time and effort is pretty much all you're gonna need, because that's gonna lead you into stepping into this truth. Exactly. You're gonna see that you were lied to all these years. You're gonna see that the Christian church told you a whole bunch of stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. You're gonna see that the Christian church has a doctrine that is completely the outlook of what a white man sees as what we call slang or parables, right, yeah. You know what I mean? You're gonna see all those things, and it's gonna lead you into like, okay, I need to find the truth now. Where else you gonna find the truth? You know what I mean? Once you hear the truth, you're gonna know it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna keep bringing you back. You know what I mean? People with common sense, they know when they hear the truth. I mean, they know when people are sitting over here telling them something and it's not a lie. Now, if I give you a whole bunch of shenanigans and I'm dressing up in a nice pink suit and I got my hair greased back and I'm telling you and I'm just speaking with so much, you know what I mean, emotion and so much what's the word I'm looking for? Charisma. Thank you. You know what I mean? When I'm speaking with so much charisma and I'm luring you into something, that's witchcraft. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I don't want you to feel good when I bring you this truth. I want you to feel horrible because I want you to regret all the things that you've done in your past life. So that's the real truth. What do you call it? Tough love?
That's exactly what it's called.
You know what I'm saying?
Truth
I don't. The truth is supposed to hurt. The truth is not supposed to make you feel good. So I'm gonna give you tough love for you to feel. You know what I mean? All right, I'm walking with a sense of regret. That means that everything that I'm doing, I must have not have been right. Because that's what mainly people are walking around thinking they're doing. They thinking that everything they're doing is right. Why? Because everybody else is doing it. You know what I mean? And that's just it. I want you to feel horrible. I want you to feel horrible. I want you to feel bad. And that way you can be able to walk in this truth and you can be able to carry the cross with Christ. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just all what it leads up to. But as far as Christ and his power, you know what I mean, we got into him creating the heavens and the earth. You know what I mean, having the authority him giving the authority to create the heavens and the earth, him giving the authority to I mean, when you get into the reincarnation class, you'll see a lot of stuff that connects with Christ's power and Christ linking to pretty much everything that is Christ is the book. He is the Bible. You know what I mean? Christ's journey is the Bible. That's his journey. It's not really so much ours. I mean, we just here to serve. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when you want a whole background, when you want a generation, when you want, you know what I mean, a prophecy of what is and what was and what's soon to be, you know what I mean, the whole book is about Christ. The whole book is about Christ. So, I mean,
Slaki, if I could just I'm just say two quick things before we close, because what you just brought out, like you said, like, you know, like, okay, people try to say like the Old Testament is done away with, but we just went over in Genesis alone that, you know, in the beginning, right? In the beginning,
right?
But in John 1:1, it says in the beginning was the Word. You know, Christ was being talked about before Christ was Christ. So how can you do away with the Old Testament? At the time when Christ was here, there was no New Testament. There was no Book of Matthew. There was no Luke. There was no Revelations. Right. Okay, there was no Ephesians. There was none of that.
Right.
You know, so Christ, he only, well, we would call it the Old Testament today, but at the time it would be referred to as scriptures, or in Genesis, Leviticus, and Exodus, the book of Moses, the law of Moses.
Right. Torah.
Yeah, the Torah. You know, so the law. You get my point? So you can't do away with the Old Testament. It's impossible, because if you're doing away with the Old Testament, you're doing away with the prerequisites of Christ. You can't even get into the New Testament without the Old Testament. Right. The Old Testament goes into the New Testament, and the New Testament talks about the Old Testament. Right. So, before I close, I just want to say the water to Salaki, if I butcher your name, sis. Kanaya. All right. She said that the flag is named after politician Christopher Gadsden, who designed it in 1775 during the American Revolution. I believe this is the Don't Tread on Me flag. It was used by the Continental Marines as an early model flag, along with the Moultrie flag. It is sometimes used in the United States as a symbol for gun rights and limited government. There are Americans today that still display the Gadsden flag in support of freedom, independence, and the United States military. Well, bump the military. Slovakia. I got a special kind of hatred for that. Right. The water for that, sis. All right, so with that, before we close the class, you got any questions?
About this coronavirus and these vaccinations, I haven't had it.
Okay.
And my soul tells me don't get it. I mean, is there anything in the Bible I can read? Do I get it? Or...
yeah. I got you, sis. So, okay, if I can get I'm trying to think of like a precept. best precept, I'm trying to think, would be to fear the Lord. So, okay, before I continue, I just want to say, I'm not telling you to get the vaccine. If you want to, go ahead. But what you really should be, matter of fact, let me see if I can get it for you.
I really don't want to get it, but I don't really know.
Okay, let me see.
Right. I mean, if I can, like, you know what I mean, Captain Tazariak, he was more so saying like it's always best to do your own research. What's good for you, like if you're allergic to anything or if you're, you know what I'm saying. But as far as just if you're trying to make the vaccine a biblical thing, it's not. You know what I mean? Like usually people will try to associate it with the mark of the beast or something like that. It's not. It's not. That. It's BS. Yeah, if it's a spiritual matter, which is making you not want to get the vaccine, then don't worry about that. You know what I mean? The Lord, if the Lord is with you, you know what I mean. We've had worse than a vaccine. You know what I mean? We've had worse than people coming up with, you know what I mean, different. What is it? Not doctrines, but
like conspiracy
theories that they're gonna manipulate your DNA and make you turn into a zombie, and they're gonna control you from the inside out. Like it's just much BS.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
if you, it's like if I could, like if you want it, like I said, like if you want to get it, go ahead. If you don't want to, if you don't want to, then don't get it. But like you said earlier, like you should fear the Lord more than anything else. Like, because coronavirus happened because of the Most High. You get my point? So that's what you really should be concerned about. If like I said, because I got it. I'll be honest with you, I got the vaccine. So, well, I'm also got it because my slave made me do it. It's just, but if you want to, don't, like he said, don't get into like that conspiracy, like, you're gonna put a chip in you, and like, no, like,
I was struggling with it because my doctor called because we do phone appointments, and she knows that I didn't want to never ever take it. So then she called me. I was dead sleeping. I answered the phone, and she said, she asked me how was I doing and everything. Then she went right into the getting vaccinated. So I said, why? What happened? Is something wrong with me? And then she said, well, because of your age, and then you're overweight, and so she said, well, can I set up an appointment? I said, go ahead and set up the appointment.
Okay.
So I went back to sleep, but when I woke up, it was just clear in my head. I'm not getting no vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? So I'm struggling with that. That's why I really don't want it.
Right.
In my 20s, I had tuberculosis.
Okay.
And I got it from an undiagnosed patient. I was in my internship for respiratory therapy as a technician. So, and then I was hard-headed. I got well, and I didn't take the medicine for a whole year. So then I got sick 2 more times after that. So I'm like, I had tuberculosis. They already gave me all kinds of stuff. I don't want nothing.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I'm choosing not. And then my children, they're all grown. They don't want. None of my children have it. Mama don't get that. I'm like, well, I got to just deal with myself. Say, with myself.
No, I feel you.
When I woke up from the doctor, it was so clear. I'm not getting it. I just woke up like, oh no, I'm not getting no vaccine. I'm not getting vaccinated. So I didn't know if it was a biblical thing. I could read about it. I didn't know.
If I may, like, see what you're talking about is like actual health situations, like that's completely opposite than what the spiritual standpoint. You know what I mean? So I'm not in any, you know what I mean, in any how can I say? I'm not in any standpoint of being able to tell you whether if you should or you shouldn't. I would speak to your doctor about it, honestly. But as far as me telling you from a spiritual standpoint, the whole conspiracy theory thing, that's going to come to us as a benefit, because when it's time for people to start putting back on their masks, when it's time for people to start going back on lockdown, and it's going to benefit us because this whole country is going to go into chaos. You know what I mean? So No. The theory of the vaccine alternating your DNA and them using it as them being it being the mark of the beast and everything like that. It's going to come to our benefit because the people are already showing that they're losing their minds over the whole situation of the conspiracy theories and the lockdowns, the mask and everything like that. Like we were saying earlier, like, you know what I mean, Esau's a lawless person. They don't want to be told to put masks on their face. They don't want to be told, oh yeah, you have to get a vaccine, even though Joe Biden is already mandating it, that you won't have to do it. They want to feel like they have some type of say-so and some type of freedom. So all these theories, conspiracy theories, these lawless Edomites and everything like that, all this is going to come to our benefit because it's going to destroy this country. You know what I mean? From the inside out, eternally, it's going to destroy this country. So I don't have any problems with people coming up with this conspiracy. Oh yeah, well, you know what I mean? The vaccine is this and that, and the vaccine going to do this, and they're going to try to kill you through the vaccine. I don't have problems with people saying that. Go ahead, say it all you want to. Shout it out loud.
Right.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
No, that's all.
See, it's more so a thing that don't lean into your own understanding. Just talk to your doctor about it.
Right.
Because as far as the spiritual side of it, you're fine. But if you want to make sure that you're good as far as health wise, I can't give you, you know what I mean, advice as far as health wise because I'm not a doctor. You know what I mean? I don't know what the whole vaccine thing is. I know that once they start offering $500 for a vaccine, I'm there with my children. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? Conspiracy theorists will say, "Oh yeah, he's selling this soul. He on." You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, that's all garbage. Yeah, nah, don't. Yeah.
Spirit, right?
What you got, sis?
Did Christ die on a cross or on a tree?
He died on a cross.
It was a cross.
The tree is a standpoint as far as like you got to use a tree to make the wood to
right
to you know what I mean. But in the scriptures it does say that, you know what I mean, he was hung on a tree, but just that's signifying that, you know what I mean, what the cross was made out of, right? So even a tree is being like a tree could be the description of the crosses that we wear on our necks. You know what I mean? Just like the rock is like a symbolization of like the cobblestone or something like that. I wouldn't wear a cross because I wouldn't want to get killed by an AK-47 and somebody my family wearing AK-47s around their neck to signify my life that I lived. I'm like, okay, well,
Sluggy, if I could, like Sluggy, if I could, we won't have to wrap it up soon, but
okay,
if I could, real quick, like Christ died on the cross, like, so you think he liked crosses?
Yeah,
like,
why would you think?
I ain't about to like,
and not just that.
That's how I think.
Yeah, getting crucified was a Roman custom for people who were like vigilantes and like revolutionists and stuff like that. People that try to set an example, they would set an example out of you by killing you on the cross. And it was like a public death. It was supposed to be disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, well, you know what I mean? It was like a public thing, like how you see let's see, like how like they would hang the pirates or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Or they would how do they do it today? I can't really, I mean, spiritually I could put like how they silence anybody who tries to speak out and give our people knowledge as far as like the entertainment business. Like they'll take their money, they'll lock them up, you know what I mean? Like they're crucifying them in a spiritual type of terms. Like the same way was with the Roman way was like it was like supposed to be like they're killing you publicly to embarrass you. You know what I mean? Because you stood out and you tried to speak against their government or speak against something like, you know what I mean? It was before Christ. That's why there was already 2 men hanging before Christ was hung. You know what I mean? It's not like Christ was the only one and the first one to be hung. It was already a Roman custom. So you wearing a cross I would say that is the mark of the beast. You know what I mean? Because you're signifying that you are part of a false doctrine. You believe in a false doctrine. You know what I mean? And rocking that cross is saying that, oh, I'm a Christian and I believe in Christianity. I believe that Christ didn't have a dad. I believe that, you know what I mean, that snake in the garden was actually a snake. You know what I mean?
With legs.
Yeah, you believe in right. Right. I mean, I ain't got no problem with that.
I ain't got no problem with it either.
Because some people believe that there's power in the cross. You know what I mean? They believe that spiritually that Christ put his power in the cross.
And that's a sin right there. If I could, like, yeah, we gotta wrap it up. So like it, but yeah, that's worshiping a graven image right there. That's a sin. You're not supposed to do that, because then if something happened to your cross, like with the Middle Easterns, the Arabians and stuff, what was it, the cobblestone, you know? Okay, put it like this: if I say that water jug right there, like the Most High put water in that water jug,
it's holy water,
and somebody drinks that water jug, and it's all gone. What, the Most High don't got power no more, or if the cross breaks, like Christ didn't exist, like people are silly like that. That's what happens when you start worshiping like graven images. Like
we don't. We got this right here. This is the shield of David. We don't feel like there's no power in this. We don't feel like, oh yeah, well if I take this off, I'm gonna lose my.
Right.
Right.
And I had got them for presents, so I didn't go buy them.
Right.
And then he came through there about some months ago because he started studying with IUIC.
Oh yeah.
And so he started studying with them, and so he's been talking to me a little bit. And my daughter, she was with IUIC, but she didn't really like the way they were doing women. So
good.
Rockatalia, how are you? What's up?
Yep, good. Most High in Christ.
And I had talked to Charlotte, because I said, well, do they wear purple? What color? I mean, I'm trying to get in. You see what I'm saying? So I talked to her, but I didn't follow through.
Okay.
She had got sick. So when she got sick, that just, my brain.
Right. No, you too sis.
So then my daughter called me and said, I have an address for you. And it was your address, because I had called Charlotte and asked her, well, was this the address? She said, yeah. I said, okay, I'm in. I'm good.
Right.
Hey, Most High in Christ.
We glad you made it too. We glad you made it here, and hopefully you can lead your daughter and your sons to get in class too. We'll definitely give them the scoop of what the wickedness that is within that organization.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Most definitely.
Because you don't want to get too deep into it, because they'll lead you astray too. They believe that certain people who are not of the 12 tribes are part of the 12 tribes, and which has led to people in their organization getting killed. You know what I mean? So I mean, the Most High, he always reveals. You know what I mean? He's going to reveal false prophets.
I watched you guys once last week on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I watched the UPK class. I said, oh, okay.
Most High in Christ.
I started calling everybody.
Oh,
somebody got to
man.
get me somewhere.
Right. Well, this is the home of the truth. This is where it originated. Everybody else has just taken bits and pieces of this and created their own, because they couldn't go with ranking, or they couldn't.
I did read something in the Bible. Do women wear fringes too?
You wear fringes?
Oh.
For sure.
We gotta wrap it this time. So, any other questions? We'll slack it. We'll answer after class. No, you good.
Or come next week also too.
Yeah.
I mean, we here to. I mean, we got to go to camp right now, so we kind of just like. I mean, but any questions, like, please, get them all organized. And we'll go through them as we keep going. We'll have scriptures to go with it and everything like that.
I don't have a lot of layers of Christianity to pull off either.
So. Right.
Most High in Christ. That's a good thing too.
For real.
That's a good thing too.
That's what's up.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm like a baby right now, learning. So.
Right. That's how the Most High wants you to be too. Yep.
Oh no sweat, sis. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so the water to everybody that was tuning in. So with that, Amijam, just me and the brother up here.
Amijam means to stand.
Oh no, you two sis. Just me and him right now.
La Yasharala,
which means to Israel in the Hebrew.
Scarface. Men of Israel, gird up thy loins to prepare to salute the Torah.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrak Yah. No, go ahead. I'll go this one.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrak Yah.
Yeah.
Amajim, which means to stand. Amajim upon Yah Hakodam, which means to rise and face the east. So we face it this way. It's gonna be three. Take time. All right, so we're gonna begin started with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. The Lord's Prayer. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Hayah.
Shemka. Yahweh. Malakutka. Taba'ah. Watazaka. Hayah. Aisha. Baratiza. Kawa. Hayah. Bashamayim. Latanyanawa. Lakum. Call. Yawam. Wasalaknawa. Habawatnawa. Wasalaknawa. Habawatinawa. Wala'ah. Tabayanawa. Saiwan. A ball. Hawashai Mayan. Rai. Kaya. Laka. Hamalakwa. Wala'ala. Watapawa. Layamanyam. Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah. Ayunya. Hariam.
Mayan.
Yaba'ah.
Isaiah. Ma'ayin. Yahweh. Aisha. Shemayim.
Wa'arataza.
Ayathan. Lamawat.
Wagalka.
All.
Nawam.
Shamarka. Hana. La'ah. Wala'ah. Yashun. Shamar. Yasharala. Yahweh. Shamarka. Yahweh. Tazalka. Ayad. Yamyamka. Yawam. Yashamash. Ya'ah. Yakaka. Wa'arath. Wala'ala. Yahweh. Yashamarka. Makal. Rai. Yashamar. Atnapashka. Yahweh. Yashamar. Kaza'apka. Wa'apka. Wa'ai. Awalam. Psalms 121 in the English. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall not slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade. Upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day. Nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee. From all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. From this time forth. And even forevermore.
Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayim,
Alahayim,
all,
all,
Damaya,
Damaya,
Laka,
Laka,
all,
all,
Lakarash,
Lakarash,
Wa'al,
Wa'al,
Nashakwat,
Nashakwat,
all,
Kaya,
Hana,
Hana,
Oyibika,
Yebika,
Yahama,
Yama,
Yawan,
Yawan,
Ra'ash,
Ra'ash,
Amaka,
Amika,
Ya'amwa,
Ya'amwa,
Sawada,
Sawada,
Waita,
Wartha,
Yatazawa,
Yatazawa,
Isle,
Isle,
Jezabawika,
Jezebawanyika,
Amoa,
Amarwa,
Lakawa,
Yakawa,
Manakakidum,
Kakidum,
Magoya,
Magalia,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Yazakar,
Yazakar,
Shum,
Shum,
Yasharala,
Yasharala,
Awada,
Awada,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Yatazawa,
Yatazawa,
Laba,
Laba,
Yakadwa,
Yakadwa,
Aliyaka,
Ayaka,
Bariyaf,
Ayah,
Yakarathwa,
Yakawathwa,
Aliyah,
Adiyah,
Adawam,
Adawam,
Wa,
Wa,
Yashamai,
Yashamai,
Aliyam,
Ayam,
Awa'aba,
Awaba,
Wahagariam,
Wargarium,
Gabal,
Gabal,
Wa'amuan,
Mawam,
Wa'amalak,
Mamlak,
Kalashaf,
Palashaf,
Am Yashabi,
Am Yashabia,
Tazawar,
Tazawar,
Gum,
Gum,
Ashawar,
Yashawar,
Nalawa,
Alwa,
Imam,
Alwam,
Kaiwa,
Hawa,
Zarawai,
Zarwai,
Labanya,
Labanya,
Lawat,
Lawat,
Salah,
Salah,
Aisha,
Aisha,
Laham,
Laham,
Kamadyam,
Kamadyam,
Kasaya,
Kasaya,
Sara'ah,
Sara'ah,
Kayabyam,
Kayabim,
Manakal,
Banakal,
Hayashwan,
Kayashwan,
Nashabwa,
Nashabwa,
Bayan,
Bayan,
Dara'ah,
Dara'ah,
Hayawa,
Kaiwa,
Daman,
Daman,
La'ah,
La'ah,
Dama,
Dama,
Shaitamwa,
Shaitamwa,
Nada,
Nada,
Yabmawa,
Yamawa,
Kairab,
Kairab,
Kaza'aba,
Kaza'aba,
Kazabat,
Kazabat,
Kazazol,
Makatazal,
Manai,
Manan,
Call,
Call,
Nasayakamwa,
Nasalakwa,
Ashar,
Ashar,
Amarwa,
Amarwa,
Niarasha,
Narasha,
Nanawa,
Nawa,
Ath,
Ath,
Nawath,
Nawath,
Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Alahaya,
Alahaya,
Shaitamwa,
Shaitamwa,
Gagogala,
Gagogala,
Quash,
Aquash,
Rapanya,
Rapanya,
Rawaka'a,
Baraka'ah,
Ka'ash,
Ka'ash,
Tabaira,
Tabaira,
Ya'ira,
Ira,
Wa,
Wa,
Kalahaba, Dalahat,
Dalahat,
Taharim,
Haharyam,
Kun,
Kun,
Daradama,
Taradama,
Zairaka,
Zairaka,
Wabasa,
Wabasar,
Napafka,
Napavka,
Bahalam,
Balam,
Mala'ah,
Mala'ah,
Panyaham,
Palaham,
Palawan,
Palawan,
Waya,
Waya,
Bakwashwa,
Bakashwa,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Gabashwa,
Yabashwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Bahawa,
Nahawa,
Anya'ai,
Aja'ai,
Waya,
Waya,
Kaparwa,
Kapawa,
Waya,
Waya,
Abadwa,
Abadwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Daiwa,
Daiwa,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Ata,
Ata,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Labaka,
Labaka,
Alawan,
Adawan,
Al,
Al,
Call,
Call,
Haratza.
Hiratazah. Psalms 83 in the English. Keep not thy silence, O God.
Keep not thy silence, O God.
Hold not thy peace,
Hold not thy peace.
and be not still.
And be not still.
O God,
O God.
for lo,
For
thine enemies make a tumult,
thine enemies make a tumult.
and they that hate thee
And they that hate thee
have lifted up the head.
have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people,
against thy people.
and consulted
And consulted
against thy hidden ones.
against